All right, I've got good news, maybe, barely, and bad news. Yeah. Well, the good news is the only saving grace for Star Trek in its current form was to do a Captain Pike series, and well, you're gonna get one. It will not be called Star Trek Enterprise, as rumors had speculated it would be called. It will be called Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is a better title than Star Trek Enterprise, as there already was a Star Trek Enterprise series. And so Anson Mount, Rebecca Romaine, and Ethan Peck will return in their roles. I liked Anson Mount in Discovery. He was one of the bright parts of that season, even though it was a terrible show, remains a terrible show, and should never have been done. But I could just see that this guy deserves a show, and you could go in so many better directions with that. And and I'm not all that crazy about. In fact, I just really don't want another prequel series. The only prequel series that would have been interesting was a Pike series. And finally, through a lot of clumsy means, we will get it. But, so, oh boy, here's the bad news. It's the same crew behind the show. Alex Kurtzman, Akiva Goldsman, and some other guy I don't even know. Oh God. Not a guy, Jenny LeMay or Lamont, LeMay. Never heard of her. Maybe she'll be the good one of the three, but I doubt it. And they're saying, hey, we listened to the fans and all that. And yeah, that was even people like me who did not like Star Trek Discovery or Star Trek Picard. The only bright spot so far was Captain Pike. And actually, I thought a better series title would be simply Star Trek Pike. But maybe because it's called Strange New Worlds, they'll write him out of it. Because there was some scuttlebutt that he didn't get along with behind-the-scenes people. That this being Anson Mount, and that apparently got in a fight with one of the directors or something along those lines. I can't remember the exact details of the story, but they need him. And this is a sign of things that I think with Viacom and CBS coming back together as one company, there's Star Trek needs to go into a different direction than what you've been doing, because that's absolute crap. I still see this as the only way to accept this is that it is an alternate timeline. It is not an actual prequel to the original Star Trek, because it just isn't. It already how they've the look of it and everything, it just doesn't fit at all. The whole Spock story that they ruined with Discovery, it's best to just forget Discovery ever happened and just watch this show. I'll give it a chance. This is the one thing that I'll get after Picard. If there's supposed to be a Picard season 2, I'm not watching it. That was awful. It started out kind of interesting and whatnot, and then was very obvious they had no material. They were robbing old stories that the Next Generation had already dealt with and did it better, and they did it in one episode. And the rest of it was stuff they stole from video games and other movies and books and whatnot. So it was trash, and they trashed their own characters, and it was awful. This Discovery trashed Spock to some extent. It fall for the purposes of promoting the Michael Burnham character, and that's all he was there for. Here, he'll be his own character in the story. Now, the problem going, you have to separate it from the original, because a lot of the development of Spock was in his years with Kirk and all that. Here, Spock should really be relegated to kind of more of a background character in the story, that the story would revolve more around Pike and number one, whereas because Spock doesn't have the rank and that he had in the Kirk years. But that's not going to happen. Now, Spock will be a very important part of the show. That's how they'll handle it. So, I would just consider this to be an alternate universe. Again, it's the only way it works. Unless, boy, they're going to shock us, and it will be that they'll redesign the Enterprise. It'll look more like the original and the uniforms and everything. But no, that's not going to happen. So yeah, Ethan Peck. He doesn't really look like Spock at all, especially when he shaved the beard. His voice is pretty good, and he might be able to do it. The only other thing I saw was that god awful short trek he did with Rebecca Romijn. That was terrible. Don't do any more of that in this. If you do that, then this thing's dead on arrival. But the good sign is that this isn't where Kurtzman wanted to go. Kurtzman wanted to do a Section 31. We don't hear about that much anymore. I don't think that's happening. And but the idea, I mean, maybe he just gets a producer credit, and he'll be paid and whatnot. But if its influence is pretty much gone, then this series might have a chance to limp along. But that's about it. But that's still bad that Kiva Goldsman and Kurtzman are involved in this. And then, of course, they give all this is a dream come true to write for Star Trek and all that. Well, then you should have started with this, didn't you? They don't know Star Trek, and that's obvious. So, yeah, this is a better idea that they've had, but by now it's so battered and beaten. I just don't know. Poor Star Trek. So, yeah, I'll give it a shot, but I'm dubious based on the performances of scripts, story ideas that has come before. The bridge they built is the best one they've designed. It's better than the one they did for the J.J. Abrams movies. It's obviously not the bridge from the TV show, not even the one that Pike used, but it's closer to it than anything else. It's all, and again, alternate timeline, and we'll see. The other little tidbit is that Kirk will be introduced in this series at some point, and the rumor is this actor from The Mandalorian. He was like another bounty hunter that tried to swindle Mando and didn't quite work out for him. Anyway, the actor's name is Jake Cannavale or Cannaval. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. So that's the rumor. The rumor is he even did a little audition test via Skype with Ethan Peck and all that sort of stuff. So they might be introducing him in the sense that the same way they follow the narrative of the movies, where they went to the academy together and all that type of stuff. So it's possible he already knows Kirk in this one. Although in this Bounding into Comics article, it's stipulated that the series apparently begins before Pike gets on the Enterprise. So I guess they're going back even further than what you see him or saw him in the Discovery series. So anyway, there you go. Star Trek, Pike, Star Trek, Strange New Worlds. But how new will they be? Will it just be plot stolen from Firefly or Star Wars or Dune or something like that? We'll see. But God, you got to get different people writing this show. You can't. The Kurtzman crew has failed time and time again, and that's why it's like, well, Anson Mount is a good actor. I think he's a great choice to lead a series and all that, and can play Pike, but it doesn't matter if the scripts are terrible. Doesn't matter how good he is. It'll be a bad show, and that's all sad. But gotta work, I don't blame him or any of the actors. It's a job, and they show up and do it. But unfortunately, it's their faces on the screen there for this thing, and even though it's not their fault, they'll probably take some amount of blame for it. But anyway, hope for the best. But boy, am I extremely dubious with especially Kurtzman still involved apparently. Hopefully that's just in name only, but that's all. But yeah. Alright, thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe? And check out that link description below. That'll take you to my many stores that have plenty of goodies for you. Most notably, my comic book Night Night over at IndiePlanet.com. And you can catch my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, over at RadioMisfits.com. And, of course, you can also watch my videos over at BitChute.